Laoshi Lawrence McElroy here for Water Tiger School of Tai Chi Chuan, back for another new session for our YouTube channel. So I have no idea what the number is. Didn't really want to look. It's kind of frightening. At this point, since we started at the end toward the second half, the latter part of March of 2020 when the world stopped. So today, without any ado, we're going to get into our warm-up. You probably see by the description, we're returning to the Five Animal Frolics and doing our third frolic from the Monkey Frolics. Hence the second time I've worn my Curious George shirts since we started doing this. The first was actually for the first time we did a Monkey Frolic, all the way back at May 18th of 2020. It was part of our it's on our Facebook Live sessions playlist, Water Tiger for Sachem, and that was monkey walking. The second frolic of the monkey was done almost 2 years ago as well, February 22nd of 2021. That was monkey peeping. Don't know if his name was Tom or not. And that was Water Tiger for Sachem New. That's the playlist that it's on. So today we're going to do, we're going to introduce you, I guess, to monkey picking a peach. After our standard warm-up for the animal frolics, which by now, if you've been following this channel for a while and done any of the animal frolics, you know is a piece from the 9 temple exercises, or the temple exercises, what we call at Water Tiger School, advance and retreat. So we'll get into the meat of that. I don't think there's really anything else to do, except we are shooting this a few days before Thanksgiving here in the United States. So I will be posted before Thanksgiving. And in a way, it's sort of appropriate because the Monkey Frolics supposed to help with appetite, so sort of tap it down if you have too much of an appetite, raise it up if you have too little of an appetite. It also helps with indigestion, something I'm sure none of us ever have on Thanksgiving. But anyway, we'll get more into the therapeutic qualities of the monkey as we get into the monkey. So I'm going to finish my mint here, since I'm not really supposed to be doing teaching with anything in my mouth, as we always say in our public classes. So anyway, you know, the 9 temple exercises, remember with advance and retreat that, you know, it's therapeutic qualities. It works the abdominals, works the legs, works the knees, works the ankles. There's also something about the knees specifically that we like. And it activates the Xia Dantian and the Shen Yu, sort of linking the two together. Xia Dantian, lower field of elixir, in the cup of our hips, sort of esoteric sphere, that esoteric vessel that sits there. And then the Shen Yu is the essence door on the lower back. So anyway, so that's part of the therapeutic quality of advance and retreat. Then it also benefits kidneys, liver, spleen, pancreas, gallbladder, the ascending, descending, and transverse colons. Colons, really? So there's the first one. Start making your hash marks for how many times Lawrence screws up his words. I always thought initially as I was doing this that was really a bad thing. The more time I spend with Tony Horton and Tony Horton Fitness, I realized that everybody, even when they have professional crews, sorry guys, and professional equipment, and like, they still get their mix talked up. But anyway, so there you go. And a matter of fact, some of those organs are also benefited by the monkey frolics because, you know, again, indigestion, that sort of thing. So definitely some stomach, but pancreas and spleen, also part of the therapeutic qualities of the monkey. So with advance and retreat, shoulder wide or a little bit wider. The thing that I mentioned about the knees, and the reason that this is always our warm-up for the animal frolics, is we have I don't want to say unique movement in the animal frolics, but very specific foot at an angle and turning the torso to the opposite angle. So I want to make sure we're very mindful that we're not pulling the knee. See that knee get pulled as I move? That would be bad, right? So the knee stays pointed in that direction. You're opening up the quad like the hinges of a book. Set the heel down, and then everything comes in. And then again, turning, I don't want to turn that back, the weighted leg knee with me. I want to make sure the quad opens like the pages of a book as I move from side to side. So this exercise, we feel, the way that we approach it, really helps to get the mind in the knees. So there's that. There's some other things to keep in mind with this. Sometimes there's just too much information, too much going on. So start with the physicality. Start with the focus on the knees. Start with the fact that, I'm not turning my hips, because as soon as I see what happens with this, that, I'm turning to the left, I'm sort of turning my left hip back, my right hip forward, and you can see that knee collapse. That's bad. So I want to turn above the hip. So focus on that. Focus on that shift and separating the shift from the turn and the shift from the turn. So that's where our focus starts. Then maybe add the breath. And we change our breath in this. We have one pattern for retreat, which we always do first, because it's always the best choice. First choice, retreat. And a different pattern for advance. Then there's also the image, right? Grab my handy dandy key bottle. Get a little bit closer, I guess, because they're telling me they can't really see that, right? The yin-yang symbol. Yin, retreating. Yang, advancing. So as you're retreating, as you're becoming yin, something is causing that by becoming yang. And as that is becoming yin, then that's the advanced part, you are becoming yang, you're expanding. So again, layered, you have the physicality, you have the breath, you have sort of the image focus. But focus on the physicality, just breathe, and maybe down the road consider focusing on a breath pattern and then focusing on the image. Fourth, three. I said fourth, I held up 3 fingers. There's another hash mark for me. 4, there is a 4th layer. And that 4th layer is how, as I am retreating, there's something that's advancing. So for instance, in a retreat, I'm pressing down on that right foot if I'm moving to the left. So in actuality, the left leg is advancing as I am retreating into the right. Also, either in advancing or retreating, you'll have one shoulder, because of the turn of the torso, that is retreating, and one shoulder that is advancing as you turn back. So anyway, again, 4 layers, focus on the physicality, get your mind in your knees. That's priority 1. So when it comes to turning the torso, the way that we usually lead into this is so you can sort of feel how the hips pull into the knees, is I start to turn on the lowest band in my torso. And then I get to a certain point and I can feel the hips starting to move, because I've gotten to my personal pronoun important, my range of motion on this. And so then I move to the mid torso, and I might find a little bit more spinal flexibility as I move up the spine. If you know me, you may know there's some stuff going on in my lower spine. And then upper spine, chest and back, turn a little bit more. And then of course you have the head on the neck. And then you're set, right? And that's how you sort of determine, bit by bit, lower band, mid band, upper band, head on neck. So if I don't have a great range of motion, say I have some Harrington rods holding things together, right? If you don't know what that is, Google it, right? I might just have a very slight turn of the torso, and the rest is the head looking in that direction. That's okay, right? Find what is your range of motion, honor it, don't hurt yourself, don't strain, sort of like with the breath, just breathe. but protect those knees. So again, as I said earlier, we always start with retreat. So I'm going to shift the weight into my left leg over on this side. I'm going to turn and look to the left side of the space. So I'm looking in the direction from which I am retreating. I'm going to start probably with an exhalation, because then I want to inhale as I shift. Two separate movements, the shift and then an exhale as I turn. And then an inhale, maybe as I shift, there's something coming toward me. And an exhale as I turn. And then I see this thing coming toward me. And I inhale and turn on the exhale. Inhale, exhale, inhale, exhale. Shift, and notice my arms are just hanging. Some people will put the hands, make an action with the arms. I like that challenge, shift and turn. And to give people that challenge, shift, turn, to keep the arms and hands flaccid. Shift, turn, shift, turn. Breathing when you have to, but maybe an inhalation on the retreat, maybe an exhalation on the turn. Really not counting, I'm just going for a while. Sometimes I track the repetition, sometimes I go for a while, sometimes I time it. Feels like maybe 4 more pair. Shift and turn, retreat and turn, retreat and turn. 3 more pair. Shift and turn, shift and turn, shift and turn, shift and turn. I didn't call the second pair, that was the third pair. So last retreat in this direction, turn, last retreat, and hold your position in your retreated place. So the weight is in the left leg, right leg really for our intents and purposes. Empty. Toes forward. When I picked it up, I turned the toes out to the side. I want to make sure the toes stay forward, toes forward, knees forward throughout. So now I'm going to advance. I am looking to the left side of the space. I'm going to be looking in the direction into which I'm moving. They are retreating. They are becoming yin. They are compressing. Something is compressing. Something is becoming yin. And I am now exhaling on the shift and inhaling on the turn for advance. And again, 2 separate actions, shift and then turn. This is not what we're doing. Shifting and then turning. Shift and turn. Maybe an exhalation and an inhale, and an exhalation and an inhalation. Shift and turn, shift and turn, shift and turn, advance and turn, exhale and inhale. Something's moving away, I'm moving into the space, and turn. Something's moving away, I'm moving into the space, and turn, shift and turn, shift and turn, shift and turn. And I'm going to call 4 more pairs again. Shift, it might be earlier than the first half, and turn. Shift, but it feels right, and turn. Shift and turn, shift and turn. I probably lied. I'm going to do 2 more pairs. Shift and turn. Feels like I need 1 more pair after this, and turn. Last advance this direction and turn. Last advance this direction. And this time when you turn forward and redivide the weight equally between the 2 feet. And there you go, little advance and retreat. I pointed out the dangly arms thing and hands because that becomes an issue. I was doing in a class earlier today, I was leading the class in the 5th loosening exercise of Wang Shinshang, which we've used as a warm-up in our Tai Chi series in Tai Chi and Qigong training. We introduced the 5 loosening exercises from Wang Shinshang when they came to us in the last year or so. But anyway, the 5th one is not advance and retreat, but it involves a shifting forward and back and just letting the arms hang. And sometimes that can be difficult. And it was a perfect example because I found myself sort of doing this, pressing my thumb into like the intermediate phalange of my index finger. And I caught that a couple of times as I was doing that. It was only the right hand. So just really focusing on that because people want to do things with their arms. We do something called turn and circle, or I'm introducing an exercise we refer to, and we've never done this exercise in this venue, but board left and look to the right, which is walking sideways. And we talk about keeping the arms flaccid, and yet people will do it. And they'll have the washing machine agitator arm. So we have to work on that sort of separation and able to have activity in part of the body and not activity in others. Though when we're doing our Tai Chi, of course, everything's active all the time, but that can actually help with that sort of proprioception and kinesthesia. If you can move something and have it separate from what is active, then it's a little bit easier to have something that is active and doing something that is not necessary, that doesn't necessarily seem to be symbiotic to what's going on in the bottom. I don't think that phrase was right, but hopefully you know what I mean. Sort of that cross-lateral movement thing, where it might seem antithetical for the upper body to be doing this one thing while the lower body is doing something else. Don't know if that was any clearer or not. Probably, as me mom would have said, clear as mud. So anyway, getting to the Monkey Frolics. So again, if you've been following this series, you know each animal has its therapeutic quality. Each animal has its nature, its spirit. Each animal has its physical focus. Each animal has its chi focus and its breath focus. So there are all sorts of different factors here. Again, as I mentioned, spleen and gallbladder, or pancreas, not gallbladder. Gallbladder was advance and retreat. Works with appetite, other gastrointestinal disorders, indigestion, helps strengthen the shoulders, the chest, the upper back, the spine, and can also, because of the invigoration of the entire system and the way that we focus with the eyes in this much more specific. And this is a good example because in monkey picking, you know, you're looking inside the shrubbery looking for that peach. So it really works the eyes. Anyway, it can help fight certain infections. I don't know about certain infections, but it can help fight infections, chronic infections, help address them, let me put it that way, not fight. And can help improve eye health. I haven't had a lot of luck with that one, but now you have some genealogy things going on there. So anyway, so that's that, the therapeutic qualities. That's not something upon which you really focus during the frolic, but it's just sort of nice to have that information. The nature of the monkey is expressed in constant activity. So even though, as most of the frolics are, there's a movement and a stop, and a movement and a stop, the stops aren't very long here, and the mind is active. It's sort of the positive aspect of monkey mind. It's like, oh, I want another peach. And you look to the other side. Flexible and playful is the spirit of the monkey. But remember, with that flexible and playfulness, it's a cleverness, and while maintaining a certain inner strength. So flexible and playful while maintaining an internal strength. Cleverness and intelligence is underneath the spirit of the monkey. The movement is focused on the upper body. What you do is compress the shoulders. So I am accentuating the rounded back and the sunken chest. So compress the shoulders, or contract the shoulders, probably a better word there, and compress the neck. You want to be careful here because what people tend to do is like really over exaggerate that and really activate the muscles and tendons in the upper body. And you do that and you'll be cursing my name maybe before you're done, maybe later after you watch this video, maybe the day after you watch this video and follow it. You want to keep it subtle with that contraction of the shoulders and compression of the neck. But notice that sort of monkey-like quality to it. It's said, we just recently finished the crane frolics, the 5th frolic of the crane, that the crane opens up and the monkey closes in on itself. So that's the physical focus. The inhalation is both in and out through the mouth. In is through the teeth, and out goes back to the probably familiar, again, if you've done like the crane frolics or the deer frolics, the sound of the lips. Now, we like to do this with sort of a monkey-like approach. So I'm not literally making a sound as a monkey would, but there's just a little more accentuated pursed lips for the sound of the wind. And remember, it's a light breeze. It's not a Buffalo Lake effect snow kind of wind that we're talking about here. If you're following current events and you recognize when this was shot, the week of Thanksgiving of 2022, then you probably know about Buffalo and lake effect snow. So anyway, so that's the breath. And the Qi, probably one of the easier of the animals to follow the Qi focus. The Qi focus is just simply on the Shiadantian, not the acupuncture point, but the actual Shiadantian, setting an esoteric vessel that sets in the cup of the hips. And that's on throughout, while also focusing on the hands. Also throughout, it doesn't follow any change in like focus on the Shiadantian on the inhalation and focus on the hands, or I guess the paws, on the exhalation. It's just Shiadantian and the hands. And when it comes to monkey picking, if you did recently or happen to remember the experience of monkey peeping from February 22nd of 2021, you might remember this, what we sort of refer to at Water Tiger School as a snake head position. So the fingers are lightly pressed together. The thumb isn't out. It's tucked under. So it's actually, hopefully you can see that. Let me just take a look at my monitor. Yeah, that's pretty good. Right? Is even with the index finger. I'm not going to the middle. I'm not tucking it across. It's not out. It's just rounded and you have this little snake head. And that's the hands or the paws in monkey picking the peach or a peach. Not the peach, because that would be only one. And it's not the end all and be all peach. That's probably the next time we return to the monkey will be the end all and be all peach, because we're presenting it to somebody important. So with the empty leg here, well, let's get into the lower body as we normally do, for just in case somebody's training this for the first time for the frolics, right? I pointed out this sort of 45 to 45. We're not, we're not that strict with that. If you need to, because of hip, knee, whatever issues, that, not 45 to 45, maybe 30 to 30. There's also no prescribed, no called upon, no set distance for the feet. Right? You want to do something where you have governance, control. So I'm not stepping shoulder wide, obviously not parallel because it's 45-ish to 45-ish. So I'm putting that foot somewhere that I can comfortably manage. Something to keep in mind though, our approach to the animal frolics actually ends after somebody builds their experience in doing a circle walk. So you have a community walk. So you have to sort of judge the way you're stepping based on where you are in the community. And sometimes, because the different people have different ranges of motion, you may have to make up some space. So you put the ball of the foot down somewhere. And then when you step into the heel, see what I did there? Step the heel a little bit farther and then came in. Or maybe you're catching up to somebody. So you actually, this is your position for, what we call the, the end of the frolic position or the active part of the frolic. Maybe I even step that foot back and walk a little bit backwards. So you have to start to learn those adjustments if you're going to walk in a circle with other people. So anyway, there you go. So lower body, now focusing on the lower body. This is the inhalation, by the way. So this would be the through the teeth. Hold both the movement and the focus, and not the focus, the movement and the breath. Is that 3 or is that 4? No, I think that's 5 because I messed up the fingers that one time too. And then I switch to the heel and hold. And ideally, the inhalation, though it should be your normal amount, and somewhere around 70-75% of your lung capacity, should be complete. Oops, I didn't do that through my teeth. By the time the foot is in place, by the time the hands are in place. Holding breath and movement, set the heel down, and my exhale should be complete. Again, the 70-75%, whatever I breathed in, an even amount out, by the time that foot comes in. So turning to the 45-ish, right? I can be there. Set the heel down. I'm going to take one more step, introduce you to something else. I'm actually remembering this time. I'm going to bring that foot down. I'm going to readjust so you can also see my feet. So I finished that last. And now wherever my hands are, whatever frolic I happen to be doing, whatever direction I've been walking, and since I'm walking in a linear fashion, I'm going to pivot on the balls of my feet to get onto that line. And as I do that, if you know Water Tiger, you know our Tai Chi Qigong breathing set. Pour Chi through the Bach way. That's what we're going to do. If you don't know Water Tiger School Tai Chi, then you will be introduced to that as one of our warm-ups because we haven't used those in our warm-ups. So wherever my hands are, I'm going to turn in the direction I've been walking, either the line or the border of the circle. Hands down, and a little rebound. Pulls the hands into the Xia Dan Tian. And that's the closing. So you do your walk, inhale, set the heel down, exhale, hold. Inhale, say this is the last step, I'm out of room. Set the heel down, or the leader has called the end. The foot comes in, there's no real pause there. Up, down, and your little rebound. Little rebound is important, right? It's not just and move. I want to experience that whole body to bring the hands to the Xia Dan Tian movement throughout. So that's the lower body. Basic lower body in most, though not all, of the animal frolics. All of the basic animal walks have some version of that, mostly, I think, in all the walking frolics of the 5 animals. The 5 animals, by the way, crane, and we've done all 5. They're somewhere living on this channel. Monkey, we're at number 3. Tiger, we've also completed those 5 in various playlists on the channel. Bear and deer. Bear, we've also done 2, and deer, we've also done 2. Bear, we might have done 3. But anyway, other people have different approaches to the 5 animal frolics. They have even other animals, feet. They might have the phoenix, they might have the snake, they might have a dragon. They might take a step out and then bring the foot back in, and then take a step out to the other side and bring the foot in, and maybe not even to the angle. Maybe they're just doing this, or maybe they're wading forward and then coming back. All sorts of different versions of the animal frolics out there. Some people have also taken their own experience in zoology and created their own animal frolics without referring to the origin of this particular set. It's usually tied to the same physician. I'm sorry, his name escapes me. We should make a point of sharing that information when we do these. But all sorts of different approaches, but they all go back to, I believe anyway, the same guy. They may not. Lord knows there are a lot of differences in the way people approach things. The upper body, again, you have those little snake head things. They come to your center line. One's kind of at your forehead-ish, and a little bit farther out. The other one's kind of at about your chin level, a little bit closer in. And it should feel, they sort of go in and then separate, like you're separating the shrubbery to look in to see the peach or a peach. And that's part of the inhalation. So inhale. And again, I'm on my center line, about forehead height, about chin height, a little bit farther out. And it looks like I'm doing walk like an Egyptian. A little bit closer in, or maybe King Tut. You can Google both of those too. Upper hand matches the extended leg, the empty leg. And they both come down empty at the sides. The heel down. And just as before, when we were only doing the lower body, inhalation should be complete by the time everything's in place. Exhalation should be complete by the time everything's in place. That's just sort of a given. So I can tell that I've been doing public classes because I almost asked if there were any questions. Been a long time without them. They finally came back this fall. So anywho, that's good. A little shake, a little no expectation. Remember, throughout all that, the breath, which, you know, sort of makes sense because, you know, you're doing something physical, so that's okay. But you also want to keep the idea of the nature of the monkey. So it's expressed through that idea of constant activity, even if you're not physically active at the moment. So looking, thinking about looking, and that's the nature of the spirit, is playful and flexible. It's sort of a cleverness wrapped around a certain inner strength, which is intelligence. And the movement, obviously, you know, compressing or contracting the shoulders, compressing the neck. So closing in, coming in to yourself. You can almost whoop, hear the little monkey sound. Inhalation in through the teeth, exhalation out through the pursed lips. Maybe a little bit of, you know, quality, you know, just in the additional pursing of the lips. So, and remember, first aspect of this, what they refer to as the Buddhist aspect of these animal frolics, is to connect and get comfortable with all those different things. And then the Taoist aspect is to become the monkey. And our usual point here is to go find a documentary on monkeys and watch them. Watch a documentary, or watch the monkeys in the documentary. And they can tell you through visually how this movement goes, and also in the eyes. The eyes will give you the spirit of the animal. In other words, people will look at you and, what's that movement? It's sort of monkey-like, and then they see your eyes and go, oh yeah, definitely monkey. Or monkey, monkey, monkey. There's a story. So 45 to 45, I'm going to settle into that first, my right foot, 45-ish, arms are going to be neutral. I'm going to sort of get in touch with my inner monkey. And then find an exhalation to start. Set the heel down. Ideally, no breath until you start to shift the weight. Inhale. So even as I set the heel down, ideally no exhalation yet, then pause. Inhale. Set the heel down. Pause. Inhale. Set the heel down. Pause. Inhale. My feet are going to be off camera. I'm going to take 2 more steps. want to get a little closer for the camera shot so you can see the snake heads. A little bit closer, chin height, a little bit farther away. This will be our after this one, our last step, this direction. Set the heel down. Now again, since we're doing this in a linear fashion to learn it, to be introduced to it, I'm turning on the balls of my feet so my toes are pointed the direction I've been moving. Palms up, palms down, and a little rebound. And there's one pass. We'll do a pass the other direction and then sort of call it a session. So let me turn around. Again, my lower body is going to be off camera for the start, but I'll walk into the camera shot. Get in touch with your inner monkey. Remember that this compressing the neck, contracting the shoulders, don't overdo it. Just right. So much of what we do in our Tai Chi and Qigong is all about that Goldilocks principle. Just right. Like the right porridge, like the right chair, like the right bed. Just right. It's the right environment on the planet to sustain life. You don't have to do that little wiggle. Again, see your pathway. Just know that you're walking in that way, not doing the circle. You know, you can if you want. And what we normally do in the studio when we do a circle walk is we actually mark certain like quarters of the circle, just so people have sort of landmarks with where they're going, where they need to do the roundness. Normally with plush animals, we've been away from that because of the pandemic and the studio, just because of fabric and that sort of thing. It's a lot easier to disinfect a plastic marker like one of these things than it is a plush animal. Oh, I just put my hands on the acupuncture point for the Shiadantian. We'll shake. Again, find an exhalation, get in touch with your inner monkey. Inhale. Set the heel down. Exhale. Into place. Hold. Pause. Take a moment. Then inhale. Compressing the neck, contracting the shoulders. Exhale. Pause. Set the heel down. Pause. Inhale. Set the heel down. My foot got ahead of my breath. Inhale. Set the heel down. As long as I exhale, my foot should be coming in. Breath and foot arrive at the same time. See if I can squeeze out 3 more steps. In monkey picking a peach. Just 2 more. Heel down. Just 1 more. Set the heel down. Turn into the direction you've been walking. Palms up. Palms down. A little rebound. Pulls the hands into the Shiadantian acupuncture point. I just realized, guys, thanks. We forgot to set the sword. So it's a little lopsided behind me. Normally when we shoot a video, though I think the last video we also missed changing out the swords. We have a Jian next to the Dao. And actually normally for these shoots, we bring in the blade of the water tiger and not just the practice Jian. So apologize for that. We knew we were going to do that when we preset the opening. It's like, somebody remember to get the sword. Oh, oops. Does that make what? 12 hashtags now for hash marks for today? So there you go. Monkey picking a peach. Hope you enjoyed. Hope you were slightly entertained by, what sometimes ends up being in our incompetence, mine especially. And as always, here we're still screening all the comments just to make sure that we get rid of the spam. But as long as you're not like flaming us, whatever you post, good or whatever somebody might judge as being a nice compliment or a criticism, they'll go up. Right? We don't do that kind of editorial choice when we're screening. It's just getting rid of, click here for, shall we say, a hot date. So anyway, so there's that. We will post a link to this on our Facebook page, which is live in its comments. But again, if you flame us there, if you are impolite to us there, it will get pulled. So there's that, and I think that's it. So again, hope you enjoyed it. Hope you were entertained. Hope you got something out of it. As always, that's why we continue to do this series, even now that we're back in the really real world, pretty fully at this point, but still, as always, cautious. So there you go. Thanks for your time and attention. We'll, catch you next time. We're maintaining the every 3 weeks. That might, as we get toward the end of the year into December, we might have more than 3 weeks, but we've been doing pretty well. And I think right now with where the calendar is, we should still be able to maintain that. But I just want to make you aware that we might be challenged as we get to the end of the year.